More than 600 cultures on every continent, separated by oceans, languages, and millennia, tell the same story. A flood that erases the world, and a few chosen survivors who begin again. We call it mythology. But 600 times the same story is no longer a coincidence. For centuries, we filed it away as religious fable. But one question stayed stuck in my head. How do peoples who never met, thousands of kilometers and years apart, all remember the same event with the same exact details? Because it is not a vague resemblance, it is the same structure, point by point. The warning from a divine voice, the building of a ship, the flood that submerges everything, the landing on a mountain, and the bird released to go and look for land. And the details match to the point of unease. The bird sent ahead. First a raven, which does not return, then a dove, which comes back with a branch. It is like this in the Gilgamesh tablet as in Genesis. The mountain of landing. The name of the survivor, which changes language but not role. Too much precision to be chance. And here comes the part almost no one knows. Noah's version, the one we all know, is not the oldest. It is a copy. 1400 years before the Hebrew scribes wrote down Genesis, during the exile in Babylon, the same story was already carved in clay. In 1872, in a room of the British Museum, a young, self-taught scholar named George Smith is translating clay tablets brought from the ruins of Nineveh. At a certain point, he reads a line and freezes. Before his eyes is the account of a universal flood with an ark and a dove written centuries before the Bible. It is the Epic of Gilgamesh, and in particular its 11th tablet, the Flood Tablet, found in the library of King Ashurbanipal at Nineveh and written down more than 3,000 years ago. The translation I cite is Andrew George's, professor at SOAS in London, the standard critical edition. Not an enthusiast, the foremost living expert on the text. The flood rages, and the gods, the ones who according to the story had unleashed it, do something no one expects from gods. They are afraid. They flee to the highest heaven, and when they arrive, they find the gates barred. So they crouch against the outer wall, huddled, the text says literally, like dogs. From up there, they look down, and the tablet writes a line that freezes the blood. From above, the people could no longer be recognized. Below them, the earth was being flattened, and all of humanity had turned back to clay, a surface flat as the roof of a house, to the horizon. And while they hang there, powerless, the text notes a detail no one would invent. The gods weep, seated, with lips parched from thirst. They are thirsty up there. And when the waters calm and they come down, they swarm like flies over the first smoke of the sacrifice, starving. It is the standard academic rendering, not a forced reading. So stop for a moment. You invent a glorious, powerful, serene God. You do not invent a thirsty God, crouched like a dog against a wall, watching the world end and unable to do anything. Those uncomfortable details, useless to the legend, are exactly what survives when you are handing down a fact, not a fable. 2 by 2. Everyone knows it from Noah's story. The animals entering the ark in pairs. Almost no one knows that phrase was already written on a Babylonian clay tablet 1,000 years before the Bible. It is called the Ark Tablet. It is at the British Museum, dated to 1750 BC, 60 lines of dense cuneiform. It was translated by Irving Finkel, one of the foremost living Assyriologists, the museum's curator. And it contains the precise instructions to build the ark, the lines that in the other versions had been lost. On line 52, Finkel finds 2 signs. Sa, Na. He looks it up in the great Chicago Assyrian dictionary and reads, 2 each, 2 by 2. He says he almost fell off his chair. The text says the wild animals of the steppe entered the boat 2 by 2, 1,000 years before Genesis. And Finkel himself, in his book, writes something that carries weight. Repeating 2 by 2 so carefully, he says, is entirely logical if you want to replicate a species from its DNA. It is not an alternative theorist on the internet. It is the curator of the British Museum. 1 pair per species is the minimum to preserve a genetic heritage. Then there are the measurements. And here, the Ark was nothing like we imagine it. Not a ship with a prow, it was round. The text on line 7 says to draw it on a circular plan. A giant coracle, the Iraqi basket boat still in use today. 70 meters across, palm fiber rope that, unrolled, would reach from London to Edinburgh. And it was not open. It was closed, sealed, covered top and bottom, bitumen inside and out. Enki orders it covered like the Apsu, the underground ocean, and adds a line no one has ever truly explained. So the sun cannot see inside. Not just to keep the water out, to shield from light, a watertight capsule. Let's line it up. A 4,000-year-old tablet describes breeding pairs to preserve species, a circular, sealed, and shielded structure, and a base of exactly 3,600 square meters, 60 by 60. The Shar, the same sexagesimal 60 of minutes, seconds, and degrees. The Bible keeps only the echo, 2 by 2. But is it just a shared story, or the memory of something that really happened? Because if a flood like that really occurred, the earth must carry its scar somewhere. And that scar, today, we are finding. In hundreds of sites, on 2 different continents, geologists find the same line in the ground, a thin black layer dated to about 12,800 years ago. And inside it, nanodiamonds, microspherules of rock melted at extreme temperatures, an anomalous spike of platinum. It is the chemical signature of a cosmic impact. For years, it was dismissed as science fiction. Then, in 2022, in the journal Science, the debate flipped. A growing number of studies supports exactly that impact at the origin of the abrupt climate collapse that followed. No longer speculation, geology. And there is another clue. Enormous. Literally carved in stone. In Washington state, there is an impossible landscape. Hard rock gouged into giant canyons. A geologist, Harlan Bretz, in 1923 understood it could not be the slow work of millennia. It had been a single, catastrophic flood in a few days. It took 40 years for science to admit he was right. And then there is the water itself. At the end of that glaciation, the sea level rose by more than 120 meters. Coasts, plains, entire lands vanished under the waves. Today, we count more than 3,000 submerged archaeological sites on the continental shelves. The flood, then, is not a metaphor. It is literal. And this moment is recorded with almost obsessive precision. Greenland's ice cores are a calendar of climate. Each annual layer a year, back for 20,000 years. You read them like the rings of a tree, and they tell this. About 12,850 years ago, the temperature plunges by nearly 10 degrees in a few decades, and then, just as abruptly, rises again. An entire world changing in a handful of generations. Scientists call it the Younger Dryas. And now, hold on, because a date comes knocking again. Plato, in the Timaeus and the Critias, writes that Atlantis sank 9,000 years before Solon, about 11,600 years ago. Exactly the end of the Younger Dryas. And the phrase he uses is, in a single day and a single night. But a clock that is struck once can strike again. Because that blow did not come from nowhere, it came from the sky, and the mechanism that fired it is still up there, above our heads. Every year, at the end of October, the Earth crosses the Taurids stream, the debris of a giant comet that fragmented thousands of years ago. The same one, in all likelihood, from which that blow came. It is not over. It is just diluted in time. And the next wrist window already has a date. Between 2032 and 2036, the Earth passes again through the densest heart of that stream of debris. It is not a prophecy. It is celestial mechanics, calculable. 600 cultures do not remember a children's fable. They remember the day the sky fell on the Earth and almost erased us. And so the real question of the first volume is not whether it will happen again. The question, the only one, is when.